How to read and enter your W-2 wages into tax software. I have a dummy W-2 here for Jane, who was single and earned $30,000 in 2023. This tax form should be sent to you by January 31st during tax season. It may also be available in your work's payroll account under tax statements. I'm going to be using TaxSlayer and TurboTax software as examples, but most software work in similar ways. Most software have two options of maneuvering: either be guided step by step answering questions or selecting forms you know you need. Log into your tax software and search for W-2 under Income in the Federal section. You always complete the Federal section first, as that information is then transferred to the State section if you also need to file a state tax return. Enter the EIN, Employee Identification Number, which is like a Social Security for the employers and institutions. Some employers partner with the tax software companies and give you the option of importing W-2 directly through the software. Even if you can't import your W-2, you can often upload it as a PDF or image or enter it manually. If you can't find a tax form in the software, most have a search option where you can start typing the form you need, then select the Jump to the Tax Form result. TurboTax gives you the option to upload a PDF or an image or snap a photo with your phone. Let's try the first option of importing our W-2 for Jane. Find the file on your computer or drag and drop it into the tax software. You also have an option of uploading your W-2 with your phone, although it is not always smooth. TurboTax tells you to scan a QR code with your phone to get the process started. If you don't complete the process quickly, you will need to refresh the code. The first time I tried to scan the code, I got an error message, so I logged into my TurboTax account on the phone to help it recognize me. But after it failed the second time, I went to the W-2 income area on my mobile and tried to get to the Snap Photo section that way. Follow the instructions on the screen to get a most accurate upload, such as holding the camera steady and in good light. Just because I uploaded my W-2 tax form doesn't mean that everything pre-populated in the tax software correctly. I have to double-check all the information in each box and compare it to my original W-2. You can see that in our situation, the state and city information didn't import correctly and needs to be updated. Jane's name and address also didn't pre-populate it, so we have to manually correct it. You have to do the same with all the numbers in each box on the W-2. The income and withholdings transfer just fine for Jane. We have in box 1 $30,000 of taxable compensation received. In box 2 is how much in federal income tax was withheld. So in our case, Jane already paid $3,000 in income tax to the IRS. Box 3 are the total Social Security wages. Notice that they are $2,000 more than her taxable wages in box 1. That often happens when the employee receives certain fringe benefits. The primary reason for that is that Jane was able to contribute pre-tax dollars towards her 401k, which is indicated with code D in box 12, and was exactly $2,000. The Social Security withholdings are calculated by taking the Social Security wages of $32,000 and multiplying it by 6.2% of employee part, which equals to $1,984 in our case. Additionally, the employer also pays the same amount of Social Security tax. The maximum amount of income that is subject to Social Security tax is capped at $160,200 for 2023. Once your withholdings reach the $9,932 limit, no further Social Security tax is withheld for the rest of the year. The Medicare withholdings are calculated by taking the Medicare wages of $32,000 and multiplying it by 1.45% employee part, which equals $464. There is no wage-based limit for Medicare tax, so it applies to all your taxable income. Additionally, high earners of any filing status making more than $200,000 pay an additional 0.9% Medicare tax, but only on the employee side. The tips you report yourself in Box 7 are included in your taxable income in Box 1. However, the allocated tips in Box A are not directly added to your wages in Box 1, but are still considered taxable income and need to be reported on your tax return. Box 10 of your W-2 form reports the total amount of dependent care benefits provided to you by your employer. It may be the dependent care flexible spending account that you set up with your employer. That amount is not necessarily what you actually paid for dependent care. If you don't fill out Tax Form 2441 claiming dependent care benefits in at least the amount listed in Box 10, they can become taxable. Notice that none of the Box 12 or Box 14 information transferred when I uploaded the W-2 for Jane, and these items are part of the W-2 and are very important. They can affect certain credits, deductions, and how much of your income is taxed. I will have to manually add them. As I previously mentioned, Code D indicates 401k contributions which are not part of Box 1 and are not taxed. When you enter that code, some tax software might suggest claiming the Saver's credit. However, this credit is very small and has low income thresholds. Additionally, the Tax Form 8880, which is required to claim the credit, can lead to tax software upgrade, which can be more than what you get in the credit. Code D indicates cost of employer-sponsored health coverage. If you pick the wrong code, you can easily delete it. Another frequent code on W-2 is code W for employer HSA contributions. If you have that code, you may need to fill out Form 8889 indicating that you had an HSA plan, how much you contributed to it, and whether you also distributed anything. Code C indicates group term life insurance provided by your employer that is over $50,000. Box 13 indicates whether your employer offered retirement plan and whether you actively participated in it. Although it is not always correct, as I experienced it being incorrectly marked 1 year for me and thus limiting our family contributions to traditional IRA. So double check that it is correctly marked on your W-2. The items in Box 14 also didn't upload for me, so I have to add them manually. You can see how important it is to double check each box that is transferred. Items in Box 14 are supplemental. You can have items such as bonus information or union dues paid. If the item listed can be assigned to any category, use the other. Box 15 through 20 indicates state and local taxes. My state info in Box 15 didn't transfer, so I have to select the state. If you have more than one state listed, make sure you also add it in the tax software, regardless if you will file in that state. You want to make sure that the total wages are allocated correctly between the places you work. Once you add the W-2 information, you may need to answer some questions about your tax form and some unique circumstances. Check if any apply to you, otherwise select none. Notice that because I had information in Box 12 about dependent care expenses, I am asked a couple more questions. These will or will not apply to you depending on the information on your W-2. After you are done with the first W-2, you can add more. If you want to see how the numbers from your W-2 flow into the tax software, you can often go to Preview, or in the case of TurboTax, select the Tax Tools and Tax Summary. Notice how the total income is $32,500 and not $30,000 as in Box 1, which shows you that because I didn't provide clarification on the dependent care benefits and the HSA plan contributions, until that is fixed in the software, it shows up as taxable. So to fix that, you would have to go to the deductions and credits area and complete tax form 2441 and 8889 to clarify that the employer benefits were used appropriately. Thanks so much for watching.